Welcome to the Grit Blueprint Podcast.
I'm your host, Stefanie Couch. This podcast is about branding, building, and business. It also highlights the grit that it takes to be successful in business and in life. Let's get started. Welcome to the Grit Blueprint Podcast with Stefanie Couch. I am excited today to have a really cool guest on the show. She and I met through LinkedIn, which is obviously one of my favorite places to hang out. Katie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Stefanie. I'm so excited to be here.
And Katie is actually a stylist for women. So most people that know me know I have a pretty distinctive style. I love a floral print, obviously hats, pearls. And I am so pumped about this conversation because it's a little bit of a departure from what we usually talk about, especially when the conversation of construction is what I'm themed on. So tell me a little bit about you. I want you to introduce yourself, tell the world who you are and how you got into the style world and what you're doing today.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Whenever people are like, how did you get into style? I think I've always been into it. Yeah. So for me, it really starts with like MTV music videos. To be honest, is like, that's when like things really came to life for me, is like watching the videos, and those videos were just around creating an emotion.
Yeah.
And everything was just an experience and crafted, and clothes are a big part of that, right? Mm-hmm. Of like what they're communicating to us and what they're telling us through the videos and things like that. So that's where it all began. And then when I went to college, I was like, I don't know, but I'm just going to go to college because that's what I'm just supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
And there was fashion classes, and I was like, what? I live in Virginia. So I joke that I went to college before the internet, and like, so there was not like, you don't go to college in Virginia for fashion.
Yeah.
So then when I found out you could do that, then I realized we actually have a really big art school here in Virginia. And so I went there for fashion. So fell in love. But I tell people all the time, it was like before the internet. It was definitely before social media.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, well, if you don't live in New York City, what are you going to do? So I got into marketing for about 20 years. And then I started a podcast. And then in the pandemic, I was like, you know what? Everything else is burning down. So let's just like do what we want to do. And I started my styling business.
That's amazing. And tell me what your styling business is called and what the kind of genre that you're working with as far as your ideal client.
Yeah. So the name of the business is Katie Just Styled. And I also have a style community called the Style Squad, because I think it's really important for people to feel like they're connected.
Yes.
And have like that group, right? Like we all want to be seen. We all want to belong. And currently I serve female entrepreneurs that are in that position of taking the risk. So my ladies that are like 1 to 2 years in, I'm like, okay, I'm going all in. I want to develop my personal brand, and I want to look like I'm developing my brand. I want when people see me, for my brand to come through. And then I have my other subset of entrepreneurs that are anywhere in that like 5 to 8 year range, where you're like, okay, I am an entrepreneur. I've survived the 5-year mark. Yeah. And your brand is evolving, and it's time for you to evolve. And you're probably doing bigger things in your business, maybe, getting on more stages and doing things like that. So those are like my 2 sweet spots.
I love that.
And it's so fun.
Yeah, style is something I've always loved too. I mean, I've always been a girl that's kind of girly girl, but also like can get out in the mud and on the lumberyard and do that thing. So I had that juxtaposition my entire life. I played softball, and I would be like full face of makeup because like you just don't know who's going to be in the crowd, right?
Yeah.
So also, I just wanted to look like me, and I wear makeup, and I always have. And so I did a lot of like style tips for my friends, I like in their closets, and there was a lot of like throwing things on the floor, like never wear this again.
Why is it here?
I'm sure there's a lot of moments like that with you if you're going through someone's closet, like, let's just donate this right now and act like it's never been in this closet. But it's funny to me to think about your individual style and how that changes. But even high school, I remember now I look back on it, I was like, what in the world? But I loved wearing suits, like bad woman, bad bitch suits,
Love it.
And full like 6-inch stiletto heels to high school. in a rural town where everyone else was not wearing this. Like, this wasn't Gossip Girl High School, where everybody's like looking awesome. And not that they didn't look awesome. It's just like it wasn't a style community,
Mhm.
And most of my friends were sports players and they were wearing like, their basketball jersey or something. And I was wearing 6-inch heels. So now I see that like who I am has always been who I am. And I think your style, it has a lot to do with your confidence.
Yes.
And I felt so confident when I was wearing an awesome outfit, even if I was having a bad day or even still now, if you're going to go speak, I do a lot of keynote speaking and I think about what I'm going to wear. Like I'm doing a keynote in March in Nashville and obviously I wear hats. And now if I don't wear a hat to an event, people are like, who are you?
So Stephanie.
Did you put Stefanie somewhere? But I ordered one yesterday that it's like a more Nashville ranch style cowboy type hat, not totally cowboy-esque, but it has rhinestones all over. It has like a rhinestone band here. And so like I have to have something that feels Nashville because I'm going to be in Nashville.
Yes.
And it's very thoughtful. So talk to me a little bit about, women struggle with those signature pieces a lot of times. I feel like all of us kind of have some sort of signature style. Maybe you're more professional, but you wear a scarf that's colorful. Or I know some women that always have like a real statement earring. Obviously, I have hats and I wear pearls. What does that mean for most women? And how important is it to have kind of some sort of style that's a signature to you and your brand?
Oh, I love that you asked that question. And you said a keyword that my brain like immediately latched on to in the beginning of the conversation. You were like, I have a very distinct style.
Yeah.
And when we allow ourselves, and we could talk about that, when we allow ourselves to have a really distinct style,
Yeah.
not only does it boost our confidence, but it makes us have this level of self-assuredness where we know that we're different, but in a good way.
Yeah.
And when we feel distinct in a good way, it's so much easier to not compare yourself to other people. And I can't think of a bigger confidence booster than being in a room with other amazing people and not feeling like I need to compare myself to them and knowing that I'm just where I am and who I am and that's good enough.
Yeah.
And I think that really comes from allowing yourself to have that distinct style because the style, and I know even if you haven't consciously thought about this, like the style comes from you allowing yourself to get so into who you are, where you are at this moment in your life.
Yeah.
And that makes you feel good.
Yeah. And it's funny because I think styles evolve. And obviously I have different, like I might be going to a job site for something, like last week I had a photo shoot where my husband and I were going to take some pictures of this huge house and right in the middle of a muddy, nasty January day, raining. But I wore job site boots. They were still wedges. They're real cute. But they were like Sorel boots that were waterproof. They had like a thick sole that has tread. Like I'm thinking about that, but I'm still Stefanie. And I think that that's the thing that you got to be cognizant of is no matter where you are, you want to be comfortable in your own skin. And I talk a lot on LinkedIn about being a unicorn. And the reason that I use that word is because everyone has these unique strengths. And then, that's more personality wise and like what you're doing and skills. But then you pair that with what you like physically to look like and your actual appearance. And you have this like really cool variety that no one else has, and you want to share that with the world. And the more confident you are in it, the more people are just drawn to it.
People love it. Confidence is like a magnet and people love it. And it's so different than like arrogance. When someone's confident, it breaks down barriers. Like when you see a confident person, you know that I could come to you. I mean, you do this so well on LinkedIn, right? Like you put really inspiring posts and people know that they can say, oh my God, this is me. Or, oh my God, I was struggling with this last week. And you exude confidence. So it creates a safe space for people to show up. And it's why people are so drawn to people that are confident like you. And it really creates authority and approachability at the same time. And as humans, I think we're constantly craving that.
Yeah, I thank you. That's very kind of you to say. I think it's really cool when you see people that are going through like, you don't have to be so far ahead of someone to learn from them. And that's one thing I kind of learned early on LinkedIn, especially when I started sharing my journey, is that people get a lot of value from going on the journey with you, number one. And number two, you being like 18 months ahead or 12 months ahead of them. You don't have to be Warren Buffett to be able to say, like, hey, I learned this lesson and it was really hard and don't do this, or maybe try this, or ask yourself this question before you go this route. And I think I learned so much from that first little time where I had already decided after I left my corporate job, like, basically, fuck it. I'm done trying to be somebody I'm not. I mean, that's pretty much, and I had already gotten to that point in corporate, which is why I ended up leaving, because I did not feel like I could be fully me and embrace my true strengths and all those things. But even like one of the little nuances is they would not let me wear a hat to work. And I liked hats back then, like just little things. And look, businesses can do whatever they want. If you don't want to let people wear hats, that's your prerogative. I'm not, crapping on that. But I was just ready to be fully Stefanie. And so once I got to that point, then I decided like I was going to stop apologizing for things that I did, not just in my style, but everything else. Like, I am not going to worry about whether one person on LinkedIn likes my post or not. I'm just going to post it. And then after I started doing that over and over, guess what? A lot of people did like it. I still get haters. I still have people that are like, you don't know what you're talking about. And that's fine. Roll on, delete and block. But at the end of the day, like, I don't care anymore. So I'm doing this for other people to feel like they don't have to care about what people think. And like you said earlier, comparison, it'll wreck you. Like, if you get caught up in that, it'll wreck you. So tell me a little bit about, as a woman, styling other powerful women. And I know you're talking more about entrepreneurial women, but even let's just talk about professional women in general. What is your first thing that you do with a woman when they say, hey, Katie, I want you to come and style me? Like, what does that look like, that process with you?
It always looks like diving into who they are. But before we get into it, I was in corporate for 20 years. I know that life so well. And I still serve corporate women. I even have a corporate construction client that we work with all the time. We talk about that. But I always start with the, like, who are you? Like what you were saying around being able to post and not care what people think. The same thing applies to what you're wearing.
Yes.
So we don't slow down and get to know each other. If I don't actually, it's not really me getting to know you. It's really me creating the space for you to get on the phone. And I'm going to ask you all the hard questions. Like, tell me about yourself. Everybody hates that question because we don't slow down and think about it. And I'm going to hold that time and space for you to really get to know who you are. Like, I want to know, what do you really like? And we're going to get into like the nuances. And it's when we start, it's really just a bunch of fun mindset questions. Like, who are you? What do you value? Like, what makes you get up in the morning? And don't say your kids. I always say, tell me, or your husband or anybody else, tell me what makes you get up in the morning without telling me who you serve. Like, tell me who you are. What makes you laugh? What makes you cry? What makes you feel motivated? Like, how do you like really, really feel inside? And I always love to start there, because what's really fun around getting to know someone and their values is, and you and I could have the same values. We could both say, which I'm already feeling like we do with like the cussing and the grit. I'm like, yes, Stefanie. Like, yes.
We're like 13 minutes in, the F-bomb has been dropped already. So here we go.
So it's great because on my podcast, I do it all the time, but I always,
you never know.
Yeah, I always wait for the host. I'm like, maybe they don't do that on your show. But like, we both can come in and you can tell me that your values are fun, honest, and connection, right? Like, that's the three things that if you feel those throughout your day, that makes you feel good. And then someone else can have those same exact things, but like, what is fun to Stefanie?
Yeah.
And if bright colors are fun to you, or wearing hats, or like whatever that is, and really giving people the permission to be themselves, to say, you know what, I do like hats. Yeah. The other thing I find a lot in that very first like session of just like brain dumping, tell me about yourself, is two things come up. It's I'm don't dress a certain way because I'm scared of what people will think about me.
Yep.
Or I've lost myself because I was in a corporate environment that had so many rules on how we had to dress. Yeah. So I forgot. Or I got married, or I got divorced, or I had a kid, or whatever the life changes, and we like lose ourselves a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then the one unexpected piece that out of all the women I've styled so far, whether they're corporate, a business owner, whatever it is there's a huge childhood component there, I think, for the female, of who was your female role model when you were younger, and was she stylish, or did she have a positive body image? And how was that taught to you as a young child? And like, how did that come up for you? And
Yeah.
because it doesn't matter what size anyone is, what shape anyone is, there is something that came up for you when you were a little girl that is shaping the way you're seeing all of
Mhm.
this. And then that impacts how you show up on the job site. And that impacts how you show up, especially in a male dominated industry. So yes, it's always style, but it's also like who you are. And
Yeah,
stuff.
you're doing like a little bit of coaching, counseling, styling all mixed in one, which is good because if someone knew what their style was and they knew exactly what to do, they wouldn't need a stylist, right?
Exactly.
Which doesn't necessarily mean you couldn't get better. Cause like I would love to talk to you about my style because it can always get better. It could always be like a piece. You recommended a pair of shoes on LinkedIn that like I absolutely love and they're comfortable and all these things. So if you think about when your body image issues, all these things that women have and men have them too.
Yeah, they
You know,
do.
I heard something the other day. Jamie Kern Lima is about to come out with a new book. She came out with It Cosmetics and she does a lot of speaking and stuff and has a first book that I love called Believe It. She has struggled with her weight and she's very open about it in her book. You know, she's been small, she's been big, she won a beauty pageant, then she got fired because she had rosacea as a broadcaster, all these things she's been through. And I've struggled with the same type of things with weight, like up and down and up and down since I was very young. And I have something called polycystic ovarian syndrome, which makes it even harder for me with endocrine type issues to just regulate that. But I came to a point where I was like, you know what? I am just going to live my life. Like, I want to be healthy. And yes, I would love to be, you know, maybe a certain health weight. Like, it honestly is more about that for me now. But I'm not going to stop wearing the things I want to wear or showing up the way I want to show up because I'm this size versus this size. And she actually said this, and it was just like memories of thoughts of things that come through your head of you doing this. How much more are you going to let your weight take away from you? How many more memories? How many more opportunities? How many more conversations? How many more rooms that you won't walk in because you feel too skinny, too fat, too... It's not just weight either. It's like your nose isn't the shape you want it to be, or, you know, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's how much more time are you going to waste because of something like that you are letting control your life. And I had so many years that I literally stood in a corner somewhere and tried to wear all black because I thought it would make me look thinner. It's like, get over it. Just wear the color and wear the floral print. And you know what? If someone else thinks you look fat, then whatever.
Who cares?
Yeah. If I like the way I feel in it and and it's an appropriate outfit for the room you're in, as far as like, you know, I'm not going to go wear like a club dress at, you know, a corporate board meeting. I don't really wear club dresses anyway. But, you know, if I was going to wear like a super small, skimpy dress, I probably wouldn't wear it to the board of directors meeting somewhere. But I'm not going to let that stop me from wearing things because I feel like maybe I should lose 5 pounds or 50 pounds or 100 pounds, whatever it is. Yep. So for women listening today, like, what would your best advice be to get past those things? And then maybe someone that's struggling with their weight, like, what are some quick little style tips? Because I know I have a few things that are like, things I look for in a dress or whatever because they do flatter. Give me some like secrets on that. I want to hear.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love what you said around like how many memories are you going to stop creating? I tell people all the time, I'm like, you're stopping yourself. And I did a post before. It's like, what memory are you creating today? Because you're not going to show up as your best self if you're not wearing those clothes. As far as like getting into that style, it's so true. When you know what colors look good on you and what colors make you feel good, because I think it's both. Yeah. You just show up in a different way. And I promise you, I've lived this personally and with clients. When you know how to dress your body as it is today, your weight issues like completely start to shift. Like I have a really good friend who's a nutritionist and I've gained 25 pounds in the last 2 or 3 years. And I said, but I know how to dress my body. I don't hate it because I know how to dress it.
And so, trust.
So to get me to stop drinking and hanging out at the fire pit with my husband or my friends is hard pressed because those are the memories I want to create.
Yeah, I agree.
As long as I'm feeling healthy and I can get up every day and I can be as active as I want to be and things like that, then we start to pick like, okay, am I going to be battling my hormones and just eating lettuce all day? Or, am I really going to start paying attention to the silhouettes, the cuts, all those kinds of things?
Yeah.
So if someone has gained weight and they feel like, oh, I'm not really sure, I'm going to give like generic advice on what you can start doing for your body, because everybody is different. And then we can just talk about some key things. When you put on an outfit that you love, I want you to slow down and get so into the details about why do you love it. And I'll just give you some like key areas to look at. Look at the neckline on it. Is it a high neck? Is it a low neck? Is it a V-neck? Like you and I both have on V-necks.
Yep.
Both are pretty busty.
Yeah.
V-necks
not
are fun.
I don't wear stuff that's not V-neck. Like it feels like it's suffocating me.
And when you wear V-necks, if you do have larger boobs, it just makes it like elongates it and it makes them look even bigger and wider. So like V-necks are amazing. Pay attention to your necklines. Pay attention to your sleeves, like 3/4 length sleeve. It breaks up your arms. Pay attention to their waistlines. Like one thing a lot of people want to hide their waist, but when we hide our waist, it actually makes us look bigger. There's a lot of fun ways to create a waist. The 3/4 length sleeves actually create the waist. When you put your arms down by your sides, it creates that faux waist. You can layer your belt over it. You can layer a jacket on top of your shirt and create a waist. We just need to break up the body. So
I love a wrap dress because of that, because it's right underneath your chest and it's tailoring your waist, which is probably your smaller part of you.
Yeah.
And then that kind of accentuates out and it's flowy from wherever, but you have that point where your eye breaks up where that's tighter. So it's tied. Love a waisted wrap dress like that.
Yes. And it's got the diagonals. So like the V neck, the V in the front and like diagonals on your body, especially if you feel like you've gained weight and you're, like you said, like it breaks up the body. You're just trying to break up the horizontal line on your body if you feel like you've gained weight. So diagonals are perfect for that. So whether it's like a bias sleeve, a bias dress, the wrap dress, it could even like in the front, the skirt could have a diagonal line that goes down the front. It's super flattering. I tell people this all the time, like with, to also kind of heal some of the body shape issue is like the reason the hourglass became so popular and became the sought after body shape is simply because it's symmetrical. And our brain loves symmetrical balanced things because it allows the brain to calm down and rest, right? So if something's symmetrical, your body instantly feels calm. And I like to give the example of like interior design, right? So take it off of your body and imagine like walking into your bedroom and if all your furniture was on one side and there was this little teeny plant on the other side, you'd be like, every time I come in this room, I just feel weird.
Yeah.
So like think about your body the same way, just try to balance it out. But just everybody's body is different. And some people have long torsos and some people have short torsos and some people have long legs and short legs. So like we could be the same height, but proportionately be so different. So I tell people like, it might feel annoying, but obsess over why you like it. Look at where your hemline on your pants hit. Look at how much skin is showing between your pants and your shoes. This is what my brain naturally does. But if someone's looking for tips, it's like, just start looking at it like that and think of it like designing your body just the same way you would design a room.
Yeah, that's great because this audience obviously is more construction. And I think that the symmetry part, like when I look at house plans, I love symmetry. I'm probably even more obsessed with it than most people, like, because I'm a little bit on like the OCD side of that. So if I look at a kitchen and there's, the range in the middle and then there's a cabinet here and then 3 cabinets here, I'm like, no, don't do it. And that happens all the time. Like you go in kitchens every day and they're like that, but I want it to be either 1 and 1 or 3 and 3, or it needs to be equal. So if you start thinking about it from a design standpoint, just like you would a blueprint, it's the same type of, really, things work. It continues to work once you figure out that formula. And so I think it's great advice. And really having that thing that is your signature few things that then you can layer. So maybe you have like one little black dress that you can put a piece of, jewelry with that dresses it up, or maybe you put a jacket on that dress, like a jean jacket that dresses it down, or whatever your style is. And then also like a great pair of jeans and a great pair of black pants, or whatever you have that's kind of those signature things. And then you can just add a top and you have 10 different outfits with 10 different tops.
Yeah.
So don't get too overcomplicated. If you find something you like that looks good on you, like hold on to it and then rotate. I have a dress that I like that's one certain brand and one certain kind, and every single one they have I buy.
Yes.
Like, because I know it looks good. So if they have a blue one and a purple one and a red one, I'm buying all of them as long as it's a color I like. I don't wear yellow or brown. That's like I just don't do it. But other than that, I'm in.
And it eliminates a lot of decision fatigue.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're like, okay, like I know this works for me. I'm just gonna pop it on. And that's another really cool thing with colors. And like you mentioned, like when you go shopping, I mean, because shopping in and of itself is a whole nother thing. Like now we have to find time to go shopping. I finally found time to figure out what works for my body shape. Now I have to go shopping. So knowing like, okay, I'm looking for V-neck. I'm looking for this color. I mean, if you're shopping online, you can literally just you can just narrow it down by that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like I have some shirts from Amazon that are pretty affordable for like the what you get, just a nice 3/4 length.
Yeah.
Same thing, V-neck, and it's Empire waist, flowy at the, like it is tight at the waist, but then it flows out, and they look great with jeans. So I have it in like 8 different colors.
Yes.
And every time I post a picture with it, people are like, "I love that top." I'm like, it's $23 on Amazon.
Go get one.
You know how girls have this thing where they're like, it has pockets. Like, it's hilarious because I saw an Instagram video last week that was a little girl, and somebody said, like, "I love your outfit," and she went, "It has pockets." And I'm like, is that born that way, or did someone tell her to say that? But I think it is something we're born with.
I think so. I have a pair of pajama pants that have pockets, and like they're my favorite. I'm like,
Especially when we're in the pockets. Like, what are the pockets for? We don't know and we don't care, but we just want to show you that it has pockets.
Well, now we have to put our cell phone somewhere, so
Yeah,
I love that.
I make my husband carry my cell phone if I don't have pockets, and he does not enjoy it. He doesn't enjoy it at all.
Here's my lipstick, my cell phone. You already have the car key, but it's always my lipstick and my cell phone. I'm like, and I might need 2 lipsticks.
Yeah, depending on whether I need to change colors. My husband's used to it though. After we've been married almost 17 years, so like if I just hand in my purse, he doesn't care. Like he doesn't care about carrying it. Like there's no ego left. He's just like, whatever. I'll just carry your purse. I don't care. He just doesn't want it in his pockets because he has lots of things he needs to carry in his pockets too.
That is so funny.
Well, we talked a lot about style being kind of professional and all those things, but for construction workers, one of the things that I talked to a lot of experts about is that safety gear for women doesn't really fit women because it's not made for them. But you're also in the confines of it needs to be safe, it needs to be high vis, all these things. What are some little small tips that maybe women could have if you have to wear something a certain way to work? That is what your dress code is, or what the safe thing to wear is. What are some small things that you could accent with that you can still have a little bit of flair or personality, even if it's not wearables, more like hair? Like, I see your hair is an awesome color. Like, talk to me a little bit about that. How you see certain women in the confines of a job that had dress code, I guess you would say.
Yeah, this is great. Like I said, I have that one client who does construction for Disney of all places. And we went to this exercise and it was so fun because I was like, well, I know that you might not be able to like get your nails done, but you can paint your fingernails, right? Yeah. And I have the best fingernail polish recommendation. So if anyone wants to just paint their fingernail, and you don't use Dazzle Dry, like it's the best at home and it will last for weeks.
Okay.
My toughest clients were like, oh my God, just this alone is worth the money of working with you. I was like, good, I'm glad.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's nails are a big deal actually, because you see your hands a lot. When you're typing, when you're working with it, when you're driving, and so it does make you feel. I know when my nails are never not done anymore because I'm so addicted to it now. Just like lashes, like if I don't have them on, I'm like, because I do my own lashes. Flutter Habit is the lashes that I use, and I'm obsessed with them. Now my sister's obsessed with them, but I took them off like yesterday, and then I looked in the mirror this morning. I was like, nope. Right now we have to put these back on. Like, it feels like you're naked. Yes. But nails are the same way. If you are used to having them or not used to having them, and then you look down and you're like, wow, I'm fancy now. Like my nails are painted.
Yes. And just the color psychology, right? So if you're in that male dominated industry, you can pick a power color or whatever the vibe is, or whatever the goal of the project or the culture that you're working in. Like there's so much fun stuff there. And makeup, that was going to be my other one. Do your makeup. Like that you have control over that. Do your hair, like even if it has to be in a ponytail, like you're allowed to do that. And then maybe there's an opportunity for a headband. And I don't know, you tell me, maybe we can custom your hard hat.
You can. So a lot
Yeah.
of places will let you do, I mean, maybe not the color so much, but you can have like some stickers, or
Yeah.
I've even seen some like custom hard hats that are all the way out there with like rhinestones and like
Yeah.
the whole thing, which one of my goals is to have a Bilbo and pink hard hat with bedazzled, like maybe a unicorn on the side or something.
Yes.
I need to make that happen. It needs to happen for real. But there are options to do some of that stuff. I think the fit and all that with, that's a big issue where you see women that are wearing like men's gear.
Yeah.
And one of my other guests on the podcast, her name is Amy, and she owns the Safety Rack, which actually just highlights other amazing women's safety gear products.
That's awesome.
Even the shoes, a woman's foot is different than a man. So if you do a steel-toed boot in a man's size that's just smaller, it doesn't fit you right.
Yeah.
And so I think that's important too, is just being able to feel comfortable in what you're wearing because it fits.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully, and it sounds like it's coming as people are going to start creating those products. And there's fun ways. So obviously the cut and the color. You mentioned the boots. So I always think about like your boot laces. Can we switch out the boot laces? Can we get colored boots? Like that one client I was talking about, we did pink Timberlands for her job sites where she was allowed to just wear like Timberlands.
Yeah.
Even your like accessories that you bring with you, like maybe it's just your book bag or the site bag that you bring your stuff there.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe no one even has to see it. Maybe you just wear a badass pair of underwear and your best bra and you just feel good because you know that like you're doing it. But there's definitely ways to like navigate around that. And hopefully like the custom vests, and maybe you can put a patch on your vest and things like that. But I agree with you. Hands are so important. And when we talk, there's something like mine aren't done. And it's funny because I was thinking today, I was like, I should have got my nails done. It's Friday. But when they're done, like I feel like you talk different. And when you see your hand, it's like you move different. It's all part of that psychological experience all the time.
Yeah, it's really interesting actually how that can make a difference. And you, like you said, subconsciously, I think a lot of that. But for me, getting your nails done is like one thing that I have treated myself to for a while. And not everyone can go get your nails done. So like you said, if you can find a way to do it at home. Also, I find that like if you have friends or daughters, it's a fun thing to do with them, whether you go somewhere or do it at home. My sister and I go a lot of times together. It's just a little time to have with each other and just get away from like your daily world. And especially if you have, kids and spouse and all these things, job coming at you, it's like an hour of your week that you can or every 3 weeks or whenever you get them done. So I love that.
It's like adornment, right? It's self-care by itself. And I think self-care needs to really become part of every woman's business strategy, whether it's professional or your actual business. Like it needs to be part of that strategy. And it's not just mental, like adorning yourself physically is so important because if you are struggling with mental health issues or anxiety, depression, whatever it is, one of the number one things people always say is like, okay, take a deep breath, get back in your body. What do you see? What do you touch? What do you feel? And that's your clothes. Like your clothes are your second skin. They're on you all the time. And if they're reflecting back to you a story or a reflection of you that you don't like, you're going to feel that all day long.
Yeah, I love that. And I think there's a lot of times where I talk to other women, like on a coaching call or even out and about, and they apologize for the way that they look.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I get told this a lot. You look so great today. I'm really sorry. I look like crap. And it's like, you feel the way they feel when they say that. And I know we can't all be like on 10 all the time with a full face of makeup and looking amazing. Like we have busy lives, especially like one of these people, young mom, like toddler and a baby. I get it. Your hair's a mess. You probably haven't had time to take a shower. Like if you got to pick between a face of makeup and a shower, hopefully get it.
Yeah.
But I will say that if you are feeling down about yourself and you're especially working from home, I think has made this worse because it is so easy to like just roll out of bed and like flop the bun up on the head and just work in your PJs almost. If you are not feeling confident, if you will put on a good outfit and if you like to wear makeup and do your hair, do those things. I know some women don't wear makeup and that's fine too. But if you will put on an outfit that makes you feel powerful, it will make a difference in how you show up, whether you're working from home, whether you're in the office, whatever it is. But I think remote work has actually really hurt a lot of people's self-confidence because
Yes.
they are not doing the effort that they were doing when they knew other humans were going to be like coming in their office every day. And we've lost something with that, especially with women. And you mentioned earlier that I feel like they've lost themselves between the pandemic, working from home, kids, everything they have going on. Even 1 or 2 days a week, if it's date night, whatever it is, to get, you know, where you want to be style wise, hair wise, all that, and go out, it's good for your confidence. And
So
take
true.
pictures when you're out. Like, especially if you're doing social media, you got to have pictures. That's one thing that people ask me all the time, like, holy crap, how do you get enough pictures to not repeat them every day? Well, first of all, my husband is a really good photographer. So that is a leg up that maybe some people don't have. But everybody has a cell phone.
Yeah.
And most of the cell phones now have better cameras than like real cameras that are good digital cameras 10 years ago. You can get a friend or a stranger or anybody like, hey, do you mind taking my picture? Find the most friendly looking other woman and then say, do you mind taking my picture? And then afterwards say, do you want me to take one of you?
Yeah.
They may say no, but that's a cool way to get some, out and about photos. And then there are so many posing tips, like about how to pose for your body. And I watch TikTok videos on them all the time and different things, but there's probably 1 or 2 poses that if you were wearing any outfit, if you stood a certain way, like one leg cross out in front, maybe a hand on the hip or hand in the pockets or, fingers in the pockets. And you even find the angle of your face. I saw this really cool video where it's like, move your face to all the angles of the clock, like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Take a picture at each one and then see which one you like the best. And like, if you are really good at 3 o'clock to the left side, then every time you take a picture, go to 3 o'clock to the left side. Because I know so many people, especially women, that every picture they see of themselves, they hate.
Yep.
How do you find the best angle so that you have the most likely chance of not hating that photo? And if you don't have photos and you're trying to build a personal brand, it's going to be very hard because people like to see eyes. They like to see smiles. It doesn't matter if you look like Angelina Jolie or if you don't like the way you look at all. If you're confident in a photo, it's going to be a better picture. So think about what you're wearing, how you're standing, how you're smiling, all those things. If you can get kind of a path, a style pattern on all of that, you'll be better off than just winging it every time. Like, well, what if I try this? What if I try that? And then you hate the picture.
And it's everything that you just said is so true and it's so good. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people forget with social media is they think that we just showed up like this, right? Like we just wake up like this. Like, no, this is a lot of prioritization and effort. It does get easier. I could do my makeup in 10 minutes if I really want to. It does get easier, but a lot of this is practice. I mean, no one just like wakes up and is like, oh my God, I just know exactly what works on my body. I do this for a living. And I still last week had a pair of pants on and they just weren't vibing. And I had to slow down and be like, why aren't these vibing?
Yeah.
There's a ton of effort that goes into it and there's a ton of practice, but it's prioritizing that. And I know I have 2 kids too, and I remember they're older now, and I remember, but you still have to like prioritize yourself. And that is something I see a lot on Zoom because I do most of my business virtual is we will get on Zoom and I can see them deflate. Yeah. The second they get on Zoom. And I'm like, and the second we do that, we put that other person on a pedestal. And I'm like, no, the only difference between me and you this morning is that when I had those 10 minutes, I chose to get dressed. Yeah. You chose whatever you were choosing. I'm not saying that anything's wrong, but like I don't scroll LinkedIn so I can do this, or I don't do this other thing so I can do this because it means that I personally, Katie, am going to have a better day and I'm going to be able to serve you better, or I'm going to be able to serve my kids better after because I've done something for myself. And I agree with you wholeheartedly, like on the makeup. It doesn't even have to be makeup. It could be your tinted moisturizer. It could just be doing your hairstyle in a style that makes you feel pulled together. Like messy buns are so cute, but they are in fact that. And if your outfit feels messy and your bun feels messy and you look at yourself in the mirror, I don't care if you see another human that day or not. When you look at yourself in the mirror, your inner mean girl is gonna turn on and say, "Look at that messy bun. Look at that outfit. Who do you think you are? You
Yeah.
think you can just get on Instagram and get on LinkedIn and do this? No, dress for yourself first, and then the rest of it falls into place."
Exactly. And if you're in a really professional position, especially in a male dominated industry, so I want to circle a little bit back.
Yes.
You can be perceived one way. Men judge people on their style too. Now, they may not know what the hell they're talking about. Sometimes they know more than I do,
Yeah.
Depends on the man. But they have more of a lot of times they'll see things and like it's more about being messy or not put together than like that's not in style.
Yes.
So just know that if you need to be put together for something, or you look like you literally ran to the office I've seen people go to the office before with like wet hair
Mhm.
to a meeting. It's like, come on.
You're like, and it sucks, right?
Yeah.
But you're fueling a stereotype. And someone said to me today or the other day, they were like, don't think of it as judgment. Think of meaning making. Our brains are meaning making machines. And I worked selling hardwood for 11 years. So you talk about being in a male dominated industry, right? So like, I get it.
So you have a construction background.
It was more like homes. Yes, like after people are designing their homes, right?
Yeah.
So I get it, but it's so true. It's like you already have, let's just like call it what it is, right? Like
Yeah.
you're already the only woman in the room sometime. You're already the only woman at the table. So if you start talking about your kids or you're running late because your kids, none of the other guys, chances are, aren't usually doing that. Like, yes, things are changing. I'm 43. So like that's, a little of the generation. And even though my husband used to say like, there was a time in our like careers where I was making more money than him.
Mhm.
And so he would go get the kids and he said he would get shit from his boss.
Yeah.
We're like, why do you have to get the kids? Can't your wife do it?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, because I'm the only woman at the table. I am not going to get up and go get my kids.
I earned this chair and I will not leave it.
Then it will look good when I'm in it.
Exactly. No, I think that's a great point. And, unfortunately, and like you said, things are starting to shift. It is very slow.
It is.
And if you know that something could cause an issue, to me, it's better just to mitigate that risk, to look like you're put together, to look like you showed up to do business because you did. And that's just one easy thing that you can take off the table as a thing they could say. And even with women, women are cruel to each other.
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of mean girl crime. So how do you, make sure that that's not going to be a problem in drama creating either? So you can't control every scenario. And you obviously, when you're in a room with people that aren't like you, being who you are and confidently showing up that way because you feel good, it shows outwardly so much. And I think that's the biggest point is confidence is everything. And what you're wearing and how you're showing up and how you're even postured is so much. Because words mean a little bit, body language and tone mean a lot more. And that's everything, right? And so if you're having that energy of like, I'm here to do business and I'm buttoned up, it's going to translate in your words.
Mm-hmm. And it's you fully expressed. Like if you and I were both at a meeting for the first time in the industry, at a meeting, I'd be like, oh my God, look at Stefanie, look at her hat and look at her pearls. It actually gives us something to hold on to. It actually gives us something to connect on. But if you walked in all tight, buttoned up in your business suit, like, playing the game and dressing like another one of the men, now you actually are telling me like, hey, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to play this game. And then it kind of creates this little divide for us. But that's why I think personal branding and style for women, especially in male dominated spaces, it's almost like a communication tool. Like you said, it's the nonverbal cue of like, hey, I'm still gonna honor the fact that I'm a woman. I'm still gonna wear this pearl necklace. So when you see me, and I can walk up to you and be like, oh my God, where'd you get your eyelashes?
Yeah. That actually is probably my number one question back. Where's your hat from? Where's your lipstick? What are your eyelashes?
Yes.
Eyelashes, like, they have a referral code or whatever. So I'm like, let me send you a discount code.
Yes.
But it's cool because, I think women, we have a hard time sometimes giving compliments, but I think we have a lot harder time receiving them. Mm-hmm. So if you get a genuine compliments from someone out, like, take it. Like, say, don't negate it with like, well, but I
Oh, this.
and all these things you say afterwards about whatever negative thing you have tried to, I guess, come up with to make the compliment less uncomfortable. Just say, thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Maybe give a return compliment if you are genuinely meaning it, but don't brush it off because that also says something about your confidence. And I think
Mhm.
every time you do that, it hurts you inside because you don't believe that what they said is true. It's
It's
self doubt. And it's like, at its best, it's lack of confidence and self doubt. So take the compliment, even if you don't believe it's true. Maybe think about it like, I'm getting told this a lot. Maybe it is true. Maybe I am beautiful. Maybe I am confident. Maybe I am, rocking these eyelashes or whatever it is. So that's my advice to women is you might not believe it, but belief comes from continuing to show up and do things even when you're not sure. And a lot of times you are scared and it's okay to do things scared and before you're ready. You just got to keep going and keep doing it. So maybe you're go back to the style piece. Maybe you're not sure if that dress looks good, or maybe you're not sure if you feel comfortable. Try it out. Like, keep it in that box where you've always worn something. Like, go a little bit out of your comfort zone to try something new. Wear it a few times. If it really doesn't feel like you, then okay. But it's
Yeah.
probably not going to fit like a glove the first time, as far as when you look in the mirror, if it's totally different than what you've been wearing.
It's so true. And then use that to see like where else are you getting stuck in your life? Where else are you not willing to experiment outside of your comfort zone?
Yeah.
I have that conversation a lot with women, like when skinny jeans became not the most popular jeans anymore. And so many people are like, I'm not giving up my skinnies. I'm like, you don't have to. Like, look,
Yeah.
there's still a classic style. But where else in your life are you not trying to give up something as the world is changing? Do you not want to use another, tool in your business? Do you not want to, do this other thing that your company is trying, this new
Yeah.
initiative? Like you can use your style as a reflection of where you're at and maybe what's going on to see that too. And I mean, like we've said over and over, there's been research done that proves it makes you feel good and it makes you more productive and it makes you more likable and all of those things. So
Yeah.
it's a win-win no matter how you look at it.
So when I think about you and your personal brand, I like to think of, obviously style. I like to think of fun. You have like a great wallpaper behind you. Everything in your room is branded, which I personally love because I look the same way. Like my dog even has a bandana on right now that has a Valentine's Day theme. I always put it on her every morning. She puts her little head down for me to put it on. And I'm like, we got to be on brand. Howdy, Pearl. I really believe in that because I just love it myself. But for someone who maybe doesn't have a personal brand, who doesn't understand what that even means, what is the one thing that you would say like they could start with today? Maybe it's one piece on style, maybe it's one question they ask themselves to get started with this. Because to go from like nothing to full
It's
brand,
hard.
it's hard, right? And you
It's
don't
hard.
know, you have a lot of decisions to make. So what is the one thing you would start with?
Well, I have one thing in that exercise. So,
Okay.
like you said, when you think of me, you think of fun.
Yeah.
Fun is one of the words that I even have a sticker that says entertainment is value. Like when
Yeah.
I started my business and they're like, what do you want? I want it to be fun. So,
Mhm.
fun to me is like the bright colors, the lipstick, the fun
Yeah.
wallpaper. So, everything is centered around fun. So, I ask myself whether I'm shopping, whether I'm writing content, whether I'm having a meeting, whatever, I'm hosting a workshop. How do I make this fun?
Yeah.
And what is that to you? So like you have to get really clear on that's a value. So like what are those values? You can go to Brene Brown and you can do the values.
Yeah.
Pick your
Absolutely.
value. And then that's kind of abstract. You're like, great. What does that mean? So go do your values. Then I want you to get on Pinterest, dust it off, set a 10-minute timer and, create a new little folder and you're going to
Yeah.
just blindly save any clothes, makeup, jewelry, accessories, shoes, bags. You can even do art. Just save all the images that are just coming at you that you're like, I love that. It gives you a really strong, good emotional reaction.
Yeah.
And when that 10-minute timer goes off, go look at the pictures that you've curated and start to look for the patterns because you're going to have patterns. You're going to see a lot of blue or a lot of flowy
Yeah.
pants or a lot of pearl necklaces or a lot of hats or like,
Yeah.
you're not even going to know. And then you're going to go back after and you're going to be like, oh, look at that. And then if you've done that exercise and you're like, oh, fun was one of my words.
Mhm.
And then you go back and be like, hey, and look at that. I saved 25 pink shirts.
Yeah.
So you're on to something and now you have like something physical to attach to like the words or the value
That's
of the
such a
thing
great
you want.
exercise. I love that. I may do that with the Build Women Network as like a workshop, because
Yeah.
I think that's really doing it on something else where it's not like you putting the physical clothes on you or trying to find them for you.
Mhm.
You're not really taking time. It's almost subconscious. Like, I just like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Don't
You're
judge
not
it.
thinking, do I like that for on me
Mhm.
or with me or whatever. It's just pure thought. And then you're picking it. So I love that. 10-minute timer, same thing. So you don't
Yep.
spend too much time
Yep.
ruminating on something.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's such great advice. Thank you
I
for
do
that.
that with every client. So after we have our like, tell me about yourself.
Yeah.
That's the next step I do with every client. And then so much comes out of it. It's like people will be like, hey, like when we both, you and I both popped on, we're like, hey, we match our backgrounds. Like we just do that, right? We're not even thinking about it anymore.
Yeah.
But like if you saved that photo that's behind you and your Pinterest board, I could be like,
Yep.
ooh, tell me about this color, Stephanie. Do you have
Absolutely.
anything in this color? This could be lipstick. This could be a shirt. This could be
Yeah.
this. But I have to know first that you even like that color. You have to
Yep.
know you like that color.
Yep. Or like for me, I said like I left out orange too. I don't wear orange, yellow, or brown.
Yeah.
I don't really like those colors on me, and I just don't like. I have nothing that color in my wardrobe. Period.
Just don't do
Except
anything.
maybe like some shoes that are brown. But so I just know that. So if I go to a store and there's a shirt that's orange, yellow, or brown, I'm not even going to try it on because I know I don't wear orange, yellow, or brown. So maybe it's the same thing with the opposite reaction. It's like when you see a bunch of orange, you're like, no, 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 no. That may be from my childhood because all of the football teams that we hated growing up wear orange.
Orange.
I'm pretty sure the Florida Gators are to thank for this hatred for orange, and Tennessee. But I think there is something to that, So what do you know? Like you have a guttural reaction. I hate that. Like I do not like that pattern, or I do not like that color. Then you can also eliminate. So it helps you hone in even on both sides of what you love and what you really hate. And then you find the thing that you want to go wear.
Yes, that's so funny. I hear that a lot with colors. People are like, this reminds me of my mom, or this reminds me of this person, or reminds you of this person.
Yeah.
Like, that's what our brains do. They make meaning out of
Yeah.
everything. Or like, oh, this girl I hated in high school always wore 6-inch heels. I'm not going to wear 6-inch heels.
No, I think it's really funny how you start to assimilate things like that. And it could be a really positive memory or it could be a negative one. My sister was a teacher for years. And sometimes she'll hear someone's name and she's like, ooh, I had a student that was terrible named that. It's like the same thing with clothes or any situation or any place. So I love that. Well, that is such a great way, I think, to kick it off with, hey, here's a thing that you can actually go do.
Mhm.
And it's tangible and tactical and you can do it in 10 minutes with free Pinterest. So thank you for that. And you rock. You're a total rock star. Not surprised at all. Figured you were going to be a rock star when we started this conversation, but I cannot wait to continue talking to you. And if you are a woman that wants style tips, that wants to get your brand started with what you're wearing, please reach out to Katie. I know that you have probably a website, all those things, but LinkedIn, she's on there all the time. We'll put the show notes, how to contact you, but you're awesome. And I cannot wait to continue learning about all this amazing things that you're doing for women everywhere.
Thank you so much for having me. Today was a blast.
Yes, it was very fun. I think fun is in both of our words.
Yeah. We're going to do this again.
Each other. All right. Well, thank you for joining us on the Grit Blueprint, and we will talk to you next time.